Thank you, Mr. Ghosh. That was amazingly melodious. To set the mood further, I would now like to request Mr. Kanchanshil to kindly come on stage and present a beautiful bhajan.
मुझको कहाँ ढूंढे रे बंदे, मैं तो तेरे पास में, ना तीरथ में ना मूरत में, ना तीरथ में ना मूरत में, ना एकांत निवास में, मैं तो तेरे पास में, ना तीरथ में ना मूरत में, ना तीरथ में ना मूरत में, ना एकांत निवास में, मैं तो तेरे पास में, ना मंदिर में ना मस्जिद में, ना मंदिर में ना मस्जिद में, ना काशी कैलाश में, ना काशी कैलाश में, मैं तो तेरे पास में, ना तीरथ में ना मूरत में, ना तीरथ में ना मूरत में, ना एकांत निवास में, मैं तो तेरे पास में, ना मैं जप में ना मैं तप में, ना मैं जप में ना मैं तप में, ना मैं जप में ना मैं तप में, ना मैं व्रत उपवास में, ना मैं जप में ना मैं तप में, ना मैं व्रत उपवास में, ना मैं क्रिया कर्म में रहते, ना मैं क्रिया कर्म में रहते, ना मैं याग सनास में, ना मैं याग सनास में, मैं तो तेरे पास में, ना तीरथ में ना मूरत में, ना तीरथ में ना तेरे पास में। खोई हुई तो तुरंत मिल जाओगे, खोई हुई तो तुरंत मिल जाओगे। एक पल ही के तलाश में, एक पल ही के तलाश में, कहे कबीरा सुन भाई साधु, कहे कबीरा सुन भाई साधु, कहे कबीरा सुन भाई साधु। मैं तो हूँ विश्वास में, ना तीरथ में ना मूरत में, ना तीरथ में ना मूरत में, ना एकांतर पास में। मैं तो तेरे पास में, ना तीरथ में ना मूरत में, ना तीरथ में ना मूरत में, ना एकांत निवास में। मैं तो तेरे पास में, मैं तो हूँ विश्वास में।
Thank you, Mr. Sheel, for that wonderful rendition. May I now request Professor Aurobindo Rautre, Dean of Infrastructure, to kindly present the welcome address and also introduce one of our guests of this special occasion, Dr. Ram Ramanan. Sir, please.
Good evening, everybody. My humble pranam to all the dignitaries on the dais, including my Guruji. Honorable Director could not come here. So on behalf of IIT Kharagpur administration and on IIT Kharagpur, on behalf of IIT Kharagpur, I welcome the dignitaries here. And one of them is our very well-known, beloved Guruji, Paramahamsa Prajnananandaji Maharaj, who comes here every day, every year and addresses us. Another one is our own alum, Dr. Ram. Both work on two ends of the same environment. As you know, environment is how important nowadays, and all these students out here who are from NSS and NSO, you know how what is the pollution level at IIT Kharagpur right now. So therefore, environment is one which everybody should think about, particularly the IITians. And the dignitaries who are here are activists. They are not just speakers. They do groundwork on environment. So you will listen to them, how they are going to change, how they are becoming a part of the change which is happening to India and the world. So I have two jobs here. One job is welcoming. I extend our heartfelt welcome to the dignitaries. And the second job is to introduce Dr. Ram, who is our own alum. 1971, I think he passed out from IIT Kharagpur. And they have this grand get-together now, which is happening right now. So IIT Kharagpur is basically a very big thing, and many things happen simultaneously. So I'll just have a brief introduction of Dr. Ramanan Ram, call it Ram, an environmental leadership Fulbright Fellow, US Department of State. He is a well-recognized and respected authority in environmental science, sustainability and corporate social responsibility through expertise and experience garnered over 3 decades in corporate, ExxonMobil, consulting, and AECOM, ICF and Trinity, and academic from Illinois Institute of Technology, Desert Research Institute and Indian Institute of Technology, arena. He has served as a member of the World Economic Forum and Echoing Green Climate Change Brain Trust, and a member of the GRI Academy Committee He has led and participated in many industry organizations and professional associations to promote environmental and sustainability disciplines. He currently serves as Chief Scientific Officer at Impact Edge, a board member at the Wheels Global Foundation, and a board member and chair of the Education Council at the Air and Waste Management Association International. Ram has authored multiple books, presented and published scientific, technical, and management papers as well as thought leadership briefings worldwide. He has provided executive briefings to environmental ministry experts from former Soviet Union nations, US Department of Commerce invitees, etc., industries and government leaders of the Nigerian oil and gas sector, Reserve Bank of India wing as US Department of State Fulbright Fellow, the Conference Board USA, Northern Trust, and so on. He has the commencement speaker at the Fall 2019 doctoral hooding ceremony at the University of Texas and Dallas. So this is the illustrious career of Dr. Ram. I'll invite him to deliver his presentation. I think he has a presentation. Thank you very much. So I'll just request guys to just don't indulge in mobile too much, okay? So because there is a speaker and we invited them, so please maintain silence. And after the Dr. Ram's lecture is over, then we'll be introducing the other dignitaries, in the dais. Then after that, there will be a question answer session. There are slips which will be question slips which will be circulated to you. You have to address to whom you want to ask this question, or you want to ask both of them. And write a question, pass on to the volunteers who are over there. So there will be question answer session for 30 minutes or so. Then we'll break for, there is refreshment outside and there is an exhibition also. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
তলগুলো নাই দরকার নেই।
Okay. Are we ready?
Are we all ready? Wonderful, great. This is such an honor and such a humbling experience, especially when I'm speaking in front of so many of my alma mater youngsters. I was here more than 60 years ago when I came in, and this is a fitting finale to that extent. I'm here for my 55th reunion like I was introduced. As many of you know, for centuries, we have actually transformed from being hunter-gatherers, then we moved on to being agrarians, and we became industrialists. And today's digital age, information is king, and artificial intelligence is queen. But we have already transgressed most of our planetary boundaries and face severe existential threats. Do we have to conquer other planets, or can we, with your help, innovate our way to heal our planet? That is the question, and I want to see if I can present to you a blueprint for action. And this is my agenda today. We're going to be talking about, am I getting this here? No. Is that? Okay, doesn't matter. We're going to talk about what is the stark reality. I don't think this is moved. Let's see. Yeah, there it is. It worked. what if we start reality where boundaries have been breached and existential threats are being faced? What kind of scientific armor do we have on hand? And what kind of societal alignments are happening together? But is that enough? No, and why not? The reason it is not is because there is a series of blocks, and most of it are inner blocks, which are inherent bias and geopolitical factors. We're going to talk about some of those. And finally, we will try and figure out the relationship between sustainability and spirituality. Both are such conjoined connections that I call them to be monozygotic twins. And in that context, we will, after my talk, move on to direction from the Guruji here to tell us how can we be spiritual and how can we bring together sustainability and spirituality. Okay. Start down. There it is. Thank you. Second. Okay, yeah. All right, wonderful. Let's kind of think about this. You know, my dad was an IIT also. And I had asked him that what kind of work should I do? What would be a good potential opportunity for me to work? And what he told me is the planet and people are getting pounded by people who are seeking one unique thing, which is profit. We need to move away from that, and what it's going to really take is for leaders to come up and be able to protect our planet through innovation. This was 60 years ago, and that advice still rings in my ears. The other thing that he said is, from one of our professors at IIT, he asked us all a question. I provided an answer. He looked at it and he said, wow, this answer is great. But you know what? This was not the question I asked. So if you are not able to provide the right context, you will never understand where we should be going. We can be running very fast, but we need to have direction. And that's where we are. So what I'm going to try and do for you here to start with is set a context. And the context is, what is the economy? What is technology? And what is nature? And if these three things are understood, are we in a position to harmonize and use our human ingenuity to heal our planet? In the very initial stages, economy was really driven by the mercantile process where people use price arbitrage, buy something cheap somewhere, sell it more expensive somewhere else. No price difference, they make some profit. And then what happened? There were people who realized that, hey, there wasn't profit in making it. Let's all become entrepreneurs, make some money there, and we can make even more money. Slowly but surely, the greed went on, and that's what let loose what's known as the Anthropocene age. That Anthropocene age is where the pummeling and howling was happening that I talked about, that my father told me. And that let loose a resistance. And the resistance came in the form of the labor movement and the environmental movement. That's where all the drive came from. The monopolists and a few people who wanted to kind of grab all the profits. Today, we are moving on to a very different phase of our economy, which I call it the stakeholders sharing benefits economy, where the benefits of our accomplishments should not necessarily be the one unifactor of the shareholder, but be equitably, not equally, shared by the entire, all the people that contributed to it. Just like whenever we have dinner at home, we always say after dinner, Annadata is a very, very complicated or complex term because it's not just one who made the food, it's not just one who gave you the grain. It really takes a whole village to make that food happen for you. What is technology? Believe it or not, at the very beginning, technology was called the current skill. If somebody knew how to make something, that skill he used to hide and make something out of it and be able to do barter exchanges initially. Later, probably some money came in. That is what Homer and Hesiod call the spoken word of current skill. Aristotle said it is productive science, also known as technologia. How many of you know what is it called in our native language here? Tantragyan, and that's what technology is. That was furthermore progressed as the third phase following invention and intervention, where innovation, I'm sorry, yeah. So you actually invent, you innovate, and the third phase of that, when you mass produce, that's where technology comes in. And finally, there is a definition, and I'm going to read that definition for you here. This comes from Oxford. And the definition is a productive part of scientific knowledge to obtain and convert natural materials and to make tools for human interactions with nature. Today, of course, we are in the digital era of AI and biotech. Having set the context for economy and technology, I'm going to give you a little bit of understanding on what is nature. This is nature. We have 6.5 million species that are living over land. Species. We have 2 million species that are living underwater and more being encountered and found every day. Somebody goes dive and you find something else. And the natural physical world, of course, we are very aware, is a world that includes everything that's inanimate. But one of the very dominant components of all of this are us, the 8 billion of us, humans. The United Nations actually put together Sustainable Development Goals. Of those, there is one known as SDG 14, which is to save life underwater. SDG 15 is to save life above land. And SDG 13 to combat climate change and the rising seas. Guess what? SDG 1 through 12 is all about us, human rights. And that is a very significant component of sustainability. I have a very simple question to ask all of you. Think about one thing, just one thing, for 1 nanosecond that you do that does not connect you to sustainability. If you can come up with an answer, I'll be more than happy to actually take you a whole lot further in that discussion. Everything that you do, and that is the omnipresence of sustainability. Please recognize that. Now, I've given you what is economy, what is technology, what is nature. Why can't we just try to harmonize all of these and come up with a way to heal our planet? Can we? Not really. Why? Because we face existential threats. There are, and I'm going to have to go back to this to see there, planetary boundaries. There are a very large number of very renowned scientists have come together and said, wherever the activities of human beings interact with the limits of the earth, those are all defined processes where we exceed that limit. Places where those are the boundaries, the limit. 7 of those 9 identified here have been transgressed already. I don't know these. Is this showing you? I'm not seeing it, sorry. Anyway, the 9 boundaries that are listed there, you may be able to read it, and that's why I put it up in a bold letter there. Climate change, novel entities, stratospheric ozone, atmospheric aerosol, ocean acidification, biochemical flows, fresh water, land system, and biosphere integrity. You will notice that I have put 2 red lights on both of them. Why? Those 2 are very serious existential threat for all of us. You, your next generation, and your progenies to come for the next several generations. I want you to recognize that is where we are. One of them is climate change, the other one is biodiversity loss. Some of you will not be aware of what these things are. Some of you will know a lot about it. But these are 2 very serious existential threats. What happens with climate change? The CO2 parts per million is ppm parts per million. The concentration of carbon dioxide or its equivalent in the environment is very significant and causes global warming. Please recognize, global warming does not mean the whole world is getting heated up and everybody is going to be feeling hotter and hotter and hotter. No. What global warming does, it actually modifies your climate. And that is why it's called climate change. We have about 3 or 4 years left, because if the change in temperature goes another 1.5 degrees centigrade, you are going to be in even more serious trouble. And we are trying to accomplish what's known as net zero CO2. What that implies is we don't want to increase the carbon dioxide emissions that we put out there. And by about 2040 and latest 2050, we want to stabilize that. And finally, recognize the impact of the potential threat of this. Economically, it's going to affect your job, it's going to affect your living, it's going to affect every one of you in some form or the other. And that is, the global GDP could drop by as much as 18% by 2050. If some of you don't realize, it's almost like about half the world countries, the smaller countries, disappear. And that's not physically disappearing, economically moving out of the entire cosmos. The next big threat we have is biodiversity loss. 1 million species face extinction today. Just in the past few decades, before that we didn't even know. There are probably a whole lot more of them. We didn't know who they were. There's going to be nearly a 60%, or there is a 60% drop since 1970 in monitor wildlife. I'm trying to read this because I don't want to be looking back when I'm talking to you all. It's a little easier for me. I don't have a phone here. We don't have a computer here. Sorry. Yeah. Economic bedrock, biodiversity, the diversity of these species in the world, in the globe, that's accessible to us, is the economic bedrock of a lot of things we do in life, a lot of things we enjoy in life, a lot of the fish we eat, a lot of whatever else we do. And that is worth about $44 trillion, nearly more than half of the world GDP is dependent on biodiversity. Biodiversity fails. Any of you familiar with what's called the Jenga tower? I'm sure most of you are. Raise your hand if you know what a Jenga tower is. There we go. That is what is going to collapse if biodiversity is not, the loss through biodiversity is not stopped. That's how significant it is. As individual species, these species are the limits of our planet. And if you remove the limits, that's what happens with the Jenga tower. You don't have the limits, and you really pull one of those out, everything falls. There is a desire to haunt, and the whole thing is called suicide by proxy. You don't do it yourself, you kill yourself in a different way. And to avoid that, the goal is to somehow save our land and oceans by 30% by the year 2030. India not too far from it. Yeah. Now, I told you the problem. Who wants to hear only the problems? Raise your hands. No, everybody wants to know what the solution is, right? The number of solutions happening in our hubs and our innovation labs in the every PhD dissertation, with many of you are going to or already doing, what you're going to find is there are things that can be actually benefiting us, and sometimes we don't know what's happening. Look at this. You're probably familiar with what's known as SAF, that is the Sustainable Aviation Fuel. This is also known as SAF, and is hydrotreated esters and fatty acids. It has a very significant play in reducing our carbon intensity in our mobility by flying. The second one is a very important one, and this is something which I wanted to share with you here. This is a Getty image of a mass tree plantation that has transformed the desert in China. If China can do it, so can you. Think about it. In that area, high mountains are blocking moisture, and that's the reason why it's a desert. You need special plants of plants there. You need a whole bunch of effort in making sure those plants survive. Once they survive, they have become major carbon sinks. And the innovation is turning this world's large and dry desert into a carbon sink. And that's an accomplishment. Any one of you, and almost each one of you can do this. The next one is the EV innovation that you're seeing. Again, another low carbon mobility, where the efficiency changes from what you know as IC engines, 30% from the storage to motion. EV is already reaching 80%. Why not embrace it? In addition to that, you know what an EV car can do? A part EV can actually serve as a mobile storage for your vehicle to let power supply. Isn't that great? You're not wasting your time and energy. You're actually being able to use it. The third one is some spectacular application of AI and all the technology many of you are familiar with, working on or learning on. And that is application of life and physical science. It's a protection of biodiversity, and these innovations include aerial reforestation, thousands and thousands of seeds per day. You have 3D printed greens that are recreating life all over the place. And you have bioacoustic AI in use. There is eDNA, digital ID, which is really allowing you to let you know things from. Okay, we're going to the next one now. Anybody heard of AI? Hands up. Good. I'm glad. So for a moment I thought most of you have not heard of AI. Okay. There is a very significant application of AI. AI can help you optimize your resources. Because here, you know that you could be firefighting otherwise because you don't know to establish foresight so you can be prepared for what's coming and stop that. Capacity holding, where you actually do, I want to make sure I have redundancy. Why have so much redundancy? Instead of that, you can ensure the right capacities in the right place at the right moment. Isn't that nice? You're shipping product to place resources and lower logistics costs and emissions. At the same time, you regain even more value in local markets. That's where your people are. There are so many indigenous communities just around Kharagpur. Imagine everyone, this is a quote, I'm reading it from here. Every talent, every human hour treated as a strategic asset. And that's the journey from a heavy, slow enterprise to the slim elephant. This is a book written by another IITian this year. Now, you may be familiar that one of the things Gandhiji really pushed for is if you have a dhoti that is kind of, or if you have a chadar that's torn a little, where is the dhoti? If the dhoti is tearing a little, use it as a gamcha. If the gamcha tears further, use it as a lambo. That is utilization of material. And this is a butterfly diagram visualizing the same concept in a slightly different way. Looks much more sophisticated because it's in color and you can see all these curves of it. It's visualizing the circular economy with either you have your renewable materials or finite materials. There are lots of things here. You see there as product as a service. Each one of them has a very significant opportunity here. I will read one or two and go on to the next topic. For example, if you can provide light instead of a light bulb, just think about it. Think outside the box. What you need is the light, not the light bulb. I don't care about the light bulb. I want light to read. If you can make that happen, that is one way you are able to create durable, easy to repair products. And that is what's going to transform a country like ours. We are actually on the angle of accomplishing great things. And when you get a chance to do that at the greenfield stage, that's not something you want to avoid. I'm going to go on to the next item. And there are lots and lots of things like that. Now, okay, I'm on the next slide number. Yeah, I'm on the next slide number. Did I move away? Sorry, I might have pressed it too fast. Yeah, I did press it too fast. That's right. Okay. This is where we are. No? Yeah, we were here. Sorry about that. I got so excited I started pressing this too hard. Okay, here we go. who is the father of sustainability. If you don't know that name, you will know, you will never forget because I've always known that name, and that is Mahatma Gandhi. Gandhi was the first person who said that earth provides enough to satisfy every man's need, but not every man's greed. And the lesson, greed is not bad. Greed gives you ambition. Greed is where you keep on progressing. Humanity has come a very long way by driven by greed. What's bad is excess. So be very aware of it. There's a distinction between those two. Einstein said the concern for man and his destiny must always be the chief interest of all technical effort. Never forget it among your diagrams and equations. What he says, do your design, while doing the design, think of the consequences. Think of what's going to happen. Is it really going to serve the community that I'm trying to help? Is it really going to serve the purpose, and is it going to do so without creating any harm? Rachel Carson, she was a poet. What is she doing here? That's what you need. You need advocates. She said, in man in this century has gained enough power to alter his only planet. And do not self-destroy, like we know in some of our mythology, like Bhasmasura. Don't do that. Be careful. And finally, girls here, the ladies here, how many of you are aware that a lot of this activity, especially with regard to advocacy in promoting sustainability, was started right here on our soil? In 1970, there was any names, anybody know what it is? The Chipko Andolan, where ladies are actually hugging trees so they don't keep cutting off this lumber, absolutely destroying forests. They said this is our life. But all of these things started off with advocacy. Advocacy is someone like me talking. Hey, what's talk going to do? We need actual action. And those actions are called intervention. You're going to intervene in what is really messing you up. Suppose somebody is beating up somebody. What do? You go intervene and see how you can stop them. Get the person getting beaten up. Right? That is intervention. The intervention, the way it happens is, especially in a huge existential threat type area, is we have major international environmental treaties that have happened. And these alignments, if they don't have, these are global issues. You doing it in your village, they don't actually solve the problem. We need some global treaties. And I'm going to read out a few treaties that you may be familiar with. And those are the Montreal Protocol and the Paris Agreement. These two, when addressing climate change and anybody heard of ozone hole, we used to have one. That ozone hole has been stopped. Thank goodness. Some of our scientists did some great job. One of them was Mario Molina from MIT. Biological diversity. This one started in 1971 at the Ramsar Convention. How many of you know that we put 2 more areas India did into that wetlands declared places which are to be protected this year? Basel Convention and Stockholm Convention, both of them really dealt with circularity. But that is the people coming together with treaties. The next thing that happened is United Nations. People again came together and said, let's go ahead and set up Sustainable Development Goals or SDGs. Anybody heard of or not heard of SDG? SDG, the Sustainable Development Goals, and there are 17 of them. We talked about it a little while ago. And please understand, many stakeholders battled for completing human rights. Which one of you would like to just keep eating and not have any education? Can you do that? How many of you would like to just study and not have any health? We want to protect our health, we want to protect our education, we want to school. You do good kid. You want to study, right? Good job. That will kill you. Wonderful. Yeah, and that's what it takes. There is always competing priorities, and bringing them all together takes negotiated goals. And the moment you set up goals, you have to have a framework with which you can work. There are global monitoring frameworks come about all over the place, and these frameworks are going to really make a very significant change in making sure everybody is working toward the same goal. And finally, there is also a judicial intervention that can happen, and that's where there was an international
Court of Justice.
the name of that is International Court of Justice. Yeah, that's right. It's called the International Court of Justice, and in 2025, it recognized that right to a clean, healthy, sustainable environment is an essential right for life and health. And that is what is driving many nations, but they say it is a state, and what they mean by state is country. Country's responsibility. And if your country does not do, recently one of the European countries got slammed with a massive fine on that legal issue. It is not that the politicians are doing it just to win your votes. Many leaders are wanting to be very active, effective, and accomplishing things for you. There are other interventions that are happening. Oh my God, what happened? Something happening? Okay, I did something. Sorry if I did. Yeah, back. Societal responsibility mandate. So what happens? Whenever something bad happens, all the regulators get together and say, let's go ahead and pass some laws so we can actually appease all the people. But these laws are again contested and eventually come up with regulations and laws. These mandates make sure they hold you responsible for anything that you do inappropriately. That is why mandates are there. Like for example, when you're driving on the road and you're crossing the speed limit, many of you probably don't worry about it. You would worry a whole lot more if every time you exceed the speed limit, you are put in jail for a day. That will transform you. Not just that, there are a whole range of other things that are being done. You have society's financial intelligence, where high score in your ESG. Anybody heard of ESG? Environmental, social, and governance metrics. If you're doing well there, very often you find your company is performing better. If you're doing well there, you get your capital made available to you cheaper. Many of you want to be startups. If you want to do that, that is where you're going to get value out of it. This is one of those things that are really very seriously considered, conveying to this institution in particular. Many of us professors here, I've heard them talk over the years. I myself been a professor, equally guilty. Oh, I belong to the mathematics department. No, this one doesn't interest me. I do this here. No, that one doesn't interest me. How can you do anything at all in any sustainability area if you're not doing interdisciplinary work? Looks like I've been told that I may be running out of time, so I'm going to just switch over to a couple of things. There is a major intellectual. Do I have about 5 minutes? 5 minutes? Yeah. There is an intellectual divide that is happening. Because people are saying, oh, we are all going to go to dogs, we are all going to die. No, that's not going to happen. Human ingenuity will be stable. There are things happening again called political divide, where people are trading off. And things like wars are going to affect sustainability because people are going to start investing in wars. Ethics and values, now we are in the last three slides. Ethics and values are the fourth bottom line of sustainability because absent ethics and values, you will find that people are going to really only support their favorite stakeholders. Let's stop there. If you want them to be really addressing all the stakeholders, you need to have purpose built into all the sustainability issues. That's why we are prophets, people, and planet. If you don't have purpose, and ethics is the difference between what a person has the right to do and what the right thing to do. And it provides a set of principles to guide choices to act responsibly. I have a concept called, this is too deep a concept right now, but we can talk about it, we don't have time today. It's called carbon share. I proposed this about 10 years ago for equitable distribution of atmospheric carbon for us. Now this is an important one. Spirituality. What is spirituality? It is a realization that being human is more than just sensory experience. There is something greater than oneself, and we are a part of that greater whole. And empathy, a seed of compassion, is a core capability of quality that we need. And most humans are not rational robots. Most humans naturally draw their sense of value from multiple sources, also known as philosophical or secular, etc. Unethical behavior occurs when man's rationality is overcome by his desire, and that's what Aristotle said hundreds of years ago. Ethical behavior happens when that same rational charioteer raises the irrational, passionate horses that are trying to pull him away and acts like a centaur and controls them. And finally, the last slide is one I want to really focus on. Human beings is generally a rational charioteer. That's what Dr. said. But here is where the fundamental thing, this was done sometime in 2008. Our sustainability and spirituality both are about fitness. Both have zygotes at the center. Both want to protect the environment for future generations, right? Whether you're spiritual or sustainable. You want to treat people, society, and nature ethically. Everybody wants to do the right thing. Converge organizational and individual values. Invest responsibility and responsibly to make social impact. Anybody who says, I am doing this, if I'm planting a tree, that will be beneficial to society. Discover talent and grow to full potential and soothe the soul, the ultimate purpose of life. But while nature and nurture and human development are orthogonal, are statistically independent, the body and the spirit are not, and they are intertwined. With that, I would beg our Guruji to give us direction on how we can improve it.
Thank you, sir, for this wonderfully insightful talk. You took us on a journey through time, across natural, man-made, and AI contexts, across paradigm shifts in the concept of sustainability. You showed us how our little choices can have huge repercussions on the environment. And this is perhaps why the correct alignment of our consciousness matters so much. So it is important for us now to examine the other side of the spectrum with the much awaited talk by His Holiness Paramahamsa Prajnananandaji Maharaj. I would like to request Professor N.C. Nayak sir, Head of Department of Education, to kindly introduce our honorable speaker and welcome him.
At the outset, I offer my humble pranams at the lotus feet of our beloved Guruji, Paramahamsa Prajnananandaji Maharaj. I bow to each one of you, seeing in you the living presence of the divine. It is both an honor and a sacred responsibility for me to introduce our revered Guruji to this august gathering. Before embracing monastic life, Guruji was a distinguished professor of economics, a field in which I too feel privileged to be associated with. Renouncing a successful academic career, he chose the spiritual path to dedicate his life to spreading the science of Kriya Yoga meditation throughout the world. Today, he is the spiritual head of Kriya Yoga International, which is actively engaged in promoting spiritual awakening and social service worldwide. Under his compassionate and visionary leadership, the organization has established residential schools for underprivileged children, charitable hospitals, healthcare centers, regular relief and outreach programs, and initiatives for Go Seva, the protection and care of indigenous Indian cows. At the heart of all these noble activities lies the central mission, the dissemination of the scientific and spiritual practice of Kriya Yoga, guiding humanity toward inner peace, self-realization, and harmonious living. Guruji belongs to the sacred lineage of great Kriya Yoga masters, beginning with Mahavata Babaji and continuing through Lahiri Mahasa, Sri Yukteswar Ji, Bhupendranath Sanyal, Paramahamsa Yoganand, Puranamananda Giri, Swami Satyananda Giri, and Paramahamsa Hariharananda. He is the worthy successor of this illustrious tradition, carrying forward its purity, depth, and universal spirit. He has authored hundreds of books on various aspects of spiritual life and has delivered enlightening lectures and discourses at universities and institutions around the globe. Here at the Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, Guruji has graced us on several occasions, inspiring students and faculty alike with his wisdom and clarity. To truly know Guruji, one must experience meditation and the practice of Kriya Yoga. However, valuable insights into his life and mission can be found on his official platforms, including www.kriyayoga.org and also www.prajnanamission.org. I shall not take much of your valuable time. With deep reverence and gratitude, I now humbly request our beloved Guruji to kindly bless us with his divine talk. Jai Guru.
I bow to my Gurudev. I bow to all of you. Good evening. In my front, the future of India, future of humanity, the talented youths who are not only bright, who are not only to build their career, I hope they will build their character, their life, not only to be a successful person in own personal life, but also to be a successful instrument to change this world. My loving friends, first I give my heartfelt thanks and gratitude to Dr. Ram, who spoke very elaborately, but in a brief period of time, the philosophy, science, technology, policy making, and with a beautiful hope for our future. In India, we pray, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha. Sarve means all. Who are these Sarve? Sarve are all. Is it we the Indians? Is it we the humans? Is it we the living beings on this earth? Who survey? Who are these all? Please think. India, since time immemorial, is enriched with spiritual wisdom. India, once upon a time, was also very advanced in science and technology. When Europeans did not know what navigation is, Indians knew, and they were roaming all over the world. There is a book called as Manusmriti. In Manusmriti, there is a line which prohibits two things. One is use of sophisticated technology to destroy the nature. Second, human greed to possess and possess more, which is dangerous for existence. With the industrial revolution in Europe, which came in phases few centuries ago, so there was revolutionary change in production. To make you very clear, human mind, when it is overpowered with greed, there is desire for exploitation. Human beings, when it is more selfish and greed in nature, they exploited animals, exploited human beings, exploited nature, and that is the chaos. Why do we speak of this danger that this creation is going to face, whether it is climate change, global warming, pollution, rise of diseases, psychological trouble that most of the youths in the world are facing? Why? What is the cause? Just think. It is all selfishness. Science and technology in the hand of business house and in the hands of politician is a danger. Knowledge is created by you all. All the invention, innovations are by the technocrats, scientists, creative mind of all the talented people of the world. But it is used by who? Dr. Ram quoted Gandhi. The earth has plenty to provide, not only to the human beings, but for every living being. But it cannot provide to fulfill the greed of human mind. Our need is not too much. Our greed leads to exploit others. You just think, when we speak of environment and this sustainable environment for tomorrow, what is the problem we are facing? We the human beings, we are destroying. We saw a lot of information. Dr. Ram showed through the charts. Today I saw a dog. The dog is very humble and very loving. Then I asked my host, the dog is castrated. Does this dog run towards a male partner, male friend? Simple question. Human mind. When we speak of environment, let us begin with individual. I was born in a family. My environment was a thatched mud house in the village. My parents and siblings. Slowly my environment expanded to the villagers. Then to the primary school, my friends. My environment, where I grew up, there was fresh air. Surface water was not polluted or contaminated. There was not use of any chemical or fertilizer, pesticide, insecticide in my childhood. We had good food. Yes, there was food crisis. There was poverty, but there was happiness, joy in the family. The bond of villagers created a joyful environment in the village. In that environment, I grew up. That was my personal environment around me. When I grew up and came to the city for my higher education, I saw sound pollution, air pollution, water pollution, food contamination, and so on. And slowly, with passage of decades in this body in life, I find misery everywhere. Whenever I come out of our ashram to the street, I feel suffocated. Why? Who is creating this? What is the cause? When Dr. Ram was showing Chitko movement, in my 20s I met Sundarlal Bahuguna, who started this Chitko movement in the Himalayan valleys. Why do we destroy the trees? Why did we create so much of pesticide, herbicides? Why? Why there is so much of diseases? Cancer, hypertension, high blood pressure, running to the hospitals. Build as many hospitals as you can. Can you really manage the health condition of mass of people? Population growth is not the cause. Our greed, our wrong attitude is the cause. We all have become more and more self-centered and selfish, greedy human being. Yes, some politicians are doing great job, making some good policies and bringing change in the society, but the big brothers, big politicians, what they are doing? Modern science and technology taught us to exploit. We exploited, just to think, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, surface water, river water was not so much contaminated. It was usable. But now, surface water is no more healthy. And we depend upon underground water. Underground water, using sophisticated technology, we use it. But how long it will survive? How much water we can draw underground? Everywhere there is crisis. We, the human beings, we are the creator, we are the destroyer. Now I will bring you to few Sanskrit words which will tell us what is this environment is and where we stand. Environment in Sanskrit is parivesa or paryavarana. Parivesa, pari means from all around. Vesa means which surrounds us, embraces us and decorates us. That which is surrounding us all around, which is making us beautiful, our life, our breath, our thinking, our speaking, our food, our joyfulness, it is Parivesa, Paryavarana. Avarana is the covering. And if this is Paryavarana, Parivesa, the environment, each individual has his own environment. Each family has its own environment. Each society has its own environment. And globally, this whole earth, around the earth, the atmospheric covering, the sun and the moon, the Vedic rishis, Sanno Mitra, Sang Varuna, Sanno Bhavatu Arjama, they prayed, let them bring all goodness to us, the rishis' prayer. How can this air bring good to us if we go on polluting air? Who is making this air polluted? Policy is there, politicians are there, but corrupt practices, corruption everywhere. What to do? Now come to individual environment. My environment is who? My environment is my ideal. My environment is my guru, my guide. My environment is my parents. My environment is my family, and slowly it is expanding. Human life, we the human beings have the ability to expand from I to we to the entire creation. But on the other hand, if we don't expand, if we contract from big I to small I, smaller, selfish I, contraction is death, expansion is life, Swami Vivekananda said. You think of this society, when a person becomes more and more isolated, becomes depressed, his or her environment becomes more contracted, suffering so much, unable to communicate. But when one is not isolated, one is communicating, looking at a flower, looking at the butterfly, looking at the bee, looking at the plants and creepers, looking at the animals, looking at the pets, the life expands. We the human beings, we can change our own individual environment, inner environment. We can expand it to cosmic consciousness. One big mistake in the Western thinking. The Western thinking, they thought only the human beings have the right. We speak of human right. Even when you speak of human right, centuries ago, especially in the West, the European authors, they even did not include women. Human beings, they thought the male right. Then the women became conscious, they started to speak of women's right. Did anybody speak of animals' right? Did anybody speak of plants' right? Did anybody speak of the earth's right? We the human beings, we are created in the image of the divine. We can be devilish, we can be divine. The choice is ours. What type of environment we want to create. If we want to create paradise on this earth, it is possible. Not to live with fear, not to live with the attitude of exploitation, but with the attitude of serving, loving, caring and protecting. We should protect. Each individual is thinking that I will protect myself and my family. I will protect my economic condition, my home. What is happening the next door, I will not be caring for. No. That is what the Vedic rishis said. This earth is not a matter. I was asking my companions today, what is Sat? What is Chit, consciousness? They were looking at me. The Western thought, they call the earth is matter, water is matter, air is matter, all these elements are matter, but Vedic thought, Vedic spiritual experience spoke, nothing there is matter. It is all consciousness. The earth is consciousness. You will tell, the earth is conscious, the earth is conscious. Water is conscious. Consciousness is sleeping and dreaming in them, but consciousness is playing and manifesting gradually from seed to plants to insects to animals in human beings. In human beings, our consciousness we can manifest more and more. My loving friends, artificial intelligence is beautiful. I am not speaking against it. My Ravana had 10 heads. It means he was using artificial intelligence. But Ravana was using the devas to serve, meaning let it be air conditioning, let it be aerocraft, let it be. Ravana was using all this technology. But what happened to him? When artificial intelligence, scientific knowledge, if it is not used for the goodness of others, if it is destructive, if it is exploitative, if it is snatching away the joyful living of others, it leads to destruction. Science and technology, what happened? We went on exploiting. Because of excessive exploitation of nature, you just think, in my childhood, we had plenty of jute plantation. In Bengal, jute industries, jute is gradually disappearing. What has happened? Plastic and polythene. Who created it? And what is happening with this plastic and polythene all over the world? There is microplastic in human body, human blood, and creating health hazard. Who is the? Is it not science and technology? When we allow this and give this freedom to businessmen, they make it more and more. They need profit. They don't need environment, health. Yes, now we speak of CSR, corporate social responsibility. Now we speak, destroy the trees. Now you plant it. There is no other way than planting the trees. Love the trees, plant the trees, hug the trees, live with the trees. But how many of us? This morning when I was coming to IIT campus, when I was hearing the air pollution level in this IIT campus, I was thinking, where is the future? If we, the cream of India living here, are not conscious of our own condition here, what will happen? My loving friends, we should not be pessimistic. Spirituality speaks optimism, hope, dynamism, to be active and proactive, not reactive. Spirituality teaches, integrate. This is what Vedic knowledge. Dve vidye veditavya asmin, parachaiva apara. What happened in Europe? Why science and religion, they become far apart from each other? Because when religion had power and when the scientific knowledge was disapproving the so-called blind faith, religion tortured scientists. It happened in Europe. So the scientists, they kept their eyes like this. We will not enter into the religion, we have nothing to do. Whatever is exact science, we will think like this. India did not have that. India had the blending of both. Just like I loved the quote of Dr. Ram, which he wrote, science and spirituality are like twins. I will not tell twins, like two wings. Science and spirituality, they are to be integrated together. My loving friends of India, future of India, we have missed by blindly following the Western way of thinking. Our traditional wisdom, our Vedic knowledge, I'll give you a very simple thing. Why these developed cities, civilizations, whether it is Nile Valley civilization, it is Indus Valley civilization, whether it is Babylonian civilization, all these civilizations collapsed. Why? Remember, the city life is a sick life. City life is unhealthy life. City life is a polluted life. You will say, why? You know, our Indra, whom we call as the rain god, his name is Purandara. The name of Purandara is Purandarayati iti Purandara, one who destroys the city. City life is unnatural life. Natural village life is the healthy life. City life leads to all types of pollution. I don't know if you have read, at that time I was in West, when there was power crisis in USA, in few states, for few days there was blackout. In New York City, people could not move. During those days, I read in the newspaper that the Indian restaurants provided free food in New York City, which was an eye-opening for people in New York, because when there is no power, elevator cannot work. This is where we stand, my loving friends. This is the time to think. Think with our traditional knowledge, explore where is truth. This morning, when my host was speaking of breath, he spoke, till now, the scientists, they are not thinking of what this breath is. My Gurudev said, no breath, no life. Control of breath leads to happy life. How this breath matters in transforming human health, human mind, human thinking, human environment. Just simple breath which we are taking. We have to think, we have to do more and more research work, and we have to show the way. India has its own traditional knowledge. Remember, the real economic sustainable development is that without disturbing, distorting, destroying nature, we have to develop. How can we protect nature and develop? Exploit nature and develop? You are becoming unnatural, you will be sick, you are opening the door to destruction. That is not the way of development. Undisturbed, protected, healthy environment and progress. Science tells matter and energy are interconvertible. And with this little knowledge, you just think we created atomic energy. Atomic energy can be used in a very positive, healthy way. But the same atomic energy in the hands of terrorists or terrorizing country, what they can do? So you just think knowledge is good, but knowledge in the hand of unworthy people? Technology is good, technology in the hand of criminals? Artificial intelligence is good if artificial intelligence is used for destruction purpose, exploiting others. My loving ones, India is the youthful nation. India has beautiful brain power. You, the youths of India, use your brain power in a very positive, practical way. Keep your mind peaceful, joyful, and loving. Wherever you are, even if you are staying in a dormitory or hostel, you, in a small tub, plant a small flowering plant, maybe a jasmine, give few spoons of water every day. See how it is growing. It will give you joy. It's a simple thing, do it with practical way. Just on a tub, in a bottle you can plant. You can plant a small hydrophyte, some plant. You can see how it is growing. You will feel love and joy. Give. you will get a lot of things. One smile given to 10, you get 10 smiles back. But you sit by yourself, you are not getting smile back. Live to give, live to serve, live to help, live to hold the hands of others. If we cannot help anybody, we can hold our hands and pray. We can hold the hands and encourage. We, the human beings, especially from India, we have the ability to grow up and show the world a future and which our rishis, saints and seers, they said. I was happy to see the information because I don't read newspaper and all this. If China could convert a desert into greenery, why can't India? Why can't any part of the world? My loving friends, I don't want to take too much of time. We should be awakened. We should know that we all are pure consciousness, and that consciousness should expand in each one of us. For example, when my friend told me to smoke, I took once one cigarette in my hand, once in my life. Then I decided, no, it is not good. I became conscious that it is unhealthy, not only for me, but also for others. When my friend asked me a matchstick for him to smoke, I said, no, I will not give a matchstick to you for cigarette, but I can give matchstick for incense stick. My friends criticized me. I was a college student. We should think, when I become conscious, I expand my consciousness, my family increases, periphery of my family. We should expand our human consciousness. Expand, expand, expand. Your life will be beautiful. We all are essentially interconnected, integrated. No one is away from others. The plants have their inner connectivity. There is a book, Secret Life of Trees. There are 2 chapters in Autobiography of Yogi of Paramahamsa Yoganandaji. If you have read, you can reread. If you have not read, you read this book. One chapter he is writing on Dr. Jagdish Chandra Bose. Another chapter he is writing on Luther Burbank, who was a botanist in California. How science and spirituality, Luther Burbank, with his thought power, with his exchange of love, could change the character of cactus, rose, no thought, not genetically modified, only by communicating. If the plants can be communicated, because the scientists will come forward. In West, the scientists will not come forward because they are little bit too much religious scientists. Religious means religious in their own way of scientific knowledge, not to go beyond. In India, we have freedom. We have to work on mind, work on breath, work on human brain, work on environment, work on environmental sustainability, work on our togetherness. We all should survive. Why the animals will be in danger? Why the vultures will disappear from India? Horrible condition. We have to be awakened. My loving friends, you are our hope, you are our future, you are our dream, you are our treasure. We hope and dream a lot of you, but you have the strength. You should stand up, dance, sing, jump, move, and conquer the whole world with love, joyfulness, creativity, and sustainability. My love to all of you. I give my thanks to the Institute and Institute Authority to provide this opportunity to speak on the National Science Day, and which is honoring Dr. C.V. Raman, and to be with you, all of you, with Dr. Ram Ramanan, and speaking on environment. I pray to God, pray to my Guruji to bless the entire creation to be healthy, happy, productive and progressive. Thank you all.